"Helen, you'll be sitting here," she says, her voice bright, but her eyes sliding past me to the elegant main table where the adults, my son Eric, Amanda's parents, and their country club friends, are already settling in. "The kids' table?" I ask quietly, clutching the gift bag I'd brought, a crystal picture frame I'd saved 3 months to afford. "It's just more practical this way," Amanda replies, smoothing her designer dress. "The main table is for the adults who are, part of the conversation." Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. "You'll be more comfortable here." More comfortable. As if I, at 68, would be more at ease with booster seats and plastic cups than with my own son at his 40th birthday dinner. A dinner I'd contributed $2,000 toward when Amanda mentioned they couldn't quite afford the reservation at Cincinnati's most exclusive restaurant. I glance toward Eric, hoping for some intervention, some recognition of the humiliation burning through me. He meets my eyes briefly, then looks away, suddenly fascinated by the wine list. His silence is a betrayal deeper than Amanda's casual cruelty. "Of course," I say, my secretary's training. "Always be pleasant, never make a scene." Kicking in automatically. "Whatever works best." I settle at the small table where Amanda's niece and nephew, ages 6 and 8, are already coloring their paper menus. No other adults. Just me, Helen Marks, retired office secretary, widow, mother of 1, exiled to the children's corner. From my isolated position, I watch the main gathering. Crystal flutes of champagne are being distributed. Laughter bubbles. Amanda leans in conspiratorially to her friend Caroline, not bothering to lower her voice enough. "Better there than in all the photos," she says with a theatrical whisper. "Can you imagine those polyester pantsuits next to my mother's Chanel?" More laughter. Eric shifts uncomfortably but says nothing, just sips his champagne, complicit in his silence. I smooth the navy blue dress I'd carefully selected for tonight. Not polyester, but a modest rayon blend, the nicest thing in my closet. I'd spent an hour on my hair and makeup, wanting to look presentable for this special occasion, for my son's milestone birthday. The little boy beside me, Connor, offers me a red crayon. "You can color too," he says kindly. "Thank you, sweetheart." I accept it with a smile that costs me everything to maintain. The waiter approaches our table first, perhaps out of pity, and takes drink orders. The children ask for sodas. I request water, my appetite evaporated. As he walks away, my mind drifts to all the sacrifices that led to this moment. Working overtime for years to put Eric through college after his father died. Living in the same modest 2-bedroom house for 40 years, so I could help with the down payment on Eric and Amanda's Tudor-style home in Indian Hill. The monthly transfers to their accounts, never discussed, always necessary. For private school tuition for my granddaughters, for the kitchen renovation, for the European vacation last summer. Always given freely, never acknowledged openly. That was our unspoken arrangement. I didn't need thanks. Seeing them thrive was enough. Or so I thought. The waiter brings our drinks. Connor spills his immediately. I help clean it up, dabbing at the table with my napkin, while at the main table, Amanda orders another bottle of champagne. The expensive kind. The one I know costs $300 because I researched the menu prices before coming. $300 for champagne, $2,000 for tonight's dinner, $40,000 for Chloe's private school tuition, $75,000 for the down payment on their house. All from my careful savings, my modest pension, my husband's life insurance that I rationed for decades while living on tuna casserole and store-brand coffee. The appetizers arrive. I take a few polite bites of a child's portion of macaroni and cheese, tasteless in my mouth. At the main table, they're enjoying foie gras and truffle-infused something or other. Eric catches my eye once, has the grace to look uncomfortable, then turns back to the conversation. My phone buzzes in my purse. A text from my granddaughter, Mia. "Sorry you're at the kids' table, Grandma. Mom said it was because there wasn't room, but I saw there was an empty chair at their table before we left." Sweet Mia, always noticing everything with those observant 12-year-old eyes. Always the quieter one compared to her older sister, Chloe, who increasingly mimics Amanda's every gesture and intonation. I text back, "It's fine, sweetheart. Enjoy your sleepover at Emma's." Another buzz as she replies, "I wish you were here instead. I wish I were anywhere but here." The main course arrives. Chicken fingers for the children's table, duck confit for the adults. I manage a few more meaningless bites while Connor tells me about his t-ball team and his sister Lauren shows me her collection of colorful erasers. They are lovely children, innocent of the adult drama unfolding around them. Across the room, Eric stands to make a toast. He thanks everyone for coming, his voice carrying clearly to where I sit. He thanks Amanda for organizing this perfect evening. He thanks his in-laws for their unwavering support. He thanks his colleagues for their friendship. Not once does he mention me. Not once does he acknowledge the woman who raised him alone, who worked 2 jobs when necessary, who still sends him cards with $100 tucked inside for every birthday, including today. I am invisible, a ghost at the kids' table. When the elaborate birthday cake arrives, 5 tiers of chocolate ganache that I know Amanda ordered from the specialty bakery across town, I quietly gather my things. I thank the server who's been kind to our little table. I ruffle Connor's hair and tell Lauren her eraser collection is wonderful. And then, without drama or confrontation, I simply leave. No one from the main table notices my departure. No one calls after me. The gift bag remains on the kids' table, unopened. Outside, the October night is cool and clear. Stars shine above Cincinnati with indifferent beauty. I stand on the sidewalk for a moment, breathing deeply, feeling something fundamental shift inside me, like a door long stuck suddenly swinging free. For 30 years since Robert's death, I've lived for others, sacrificed for others, defined my worth by what I could provide rather than who I am. No more. My car, a 10-year-old Camry I've maintained meticulously, waits in the parking lot. I drive home slowly, carefully, the way I do everything, but inside something new is taking shape. A quiet resolve, a plan. They've shown me exactly who I am to them. An embarrassment, a wallet, a forgettable obligation. It's time I showed them exactly who I am to myself. The house is dark when I arrive home, just as I left it. I don't bother turning on the living room lights. Instead, I move through familiar shadows to my small kitchen, the heart of the modest home where I raised Eric alone after Robert died, where I taught my son to tie his shoes, to read, to believe in himself, where I sat up late calculating how to stretch my secretary's salary to cover braces, sports equipment, college applications. I set my purse on the kitchen table, the same oak table Robert and I bought secondhand when we were newlyweds. The gift bag I'd brought to the restaurant isn't with me. It remains behind like so many other unacknowledged offerings. For a long moment, I simply sit in the darkness, feeling the weight of the evening settle over me. Not just tonight's humiliation, but years of similar slights. Christmas dinners where my presents were opened last and commented on least. Family photos where I was positioned at the edges, easy to crop out. Conversations that stopped when I entered rooms. My kitchen calendar hangs on the refrigerator, marked with upcoming payments. October 15th, transfer for Chloe's winter semester tuition. October 20th, payment to contractor for Mark's family, sunroom addition. November 1st, quarterly contribution to girls' college funds. All carefully budgeted from my modest retirement income, all given without fanfare or recognition, all expected without gratitude. The kids' table, the final indignity. With hands that no longer tremble, I reach for the file cabinet built into my kitchen island. Robert's final project before the heart attack took him. Inside, organized with a secretary's precision, are folders documenting 20 years of financial support. Tuition payments for both granddaughters, the home renovation loans, the emergency transfers when Eric and Amanda overspent, the investment accounts. I quietly funded in Eric's name. I spread these papers on the table, the moonlight through the window illuminating 2 decades of silent generosity. Not once did I expect grandiose thanks. Seeing my family thrive was reward enough. But neither did I expect to be relegated to the children's table, mocked for my modest clothes, erased from my son's milestone celebration. My phone shows no messages. No one has noticed my departure yet. The revelation doesn't surprise me. With steady hands, I reach for my laptop, the basic model Eric always urged me to upgrade, though it serves my needs perfectly well. I power it on, the screen's glow illuminating my kitchen as I compose an email to Dean Porter, the financial advisor who has helped me manage my affairs since Robert's death. Dean, I need to make immediate changes to the scheduled transfers we discussed. Please cancel all pending payments to the following accounts. I list them methodically. The private school tuition, the home renovation fund, the monthly gift transfers to Eric and Amanda's joint account, the college savings for the girls. Only those last ones give me pause. My granddaughters shouldn't suffer for their parents' callousness. After consideration, I add, for Chloe and Mia's education funds, please maintain these separately. I will contact you with new instructions for their disbursement when the girls turn 18. Dean will understand. He's witnessed my quiet support of Eric's family for years, occasionally raising an eyebrow at their growing dependence, but respecting my choices. He'll also ensure everything is handled legally and properly. No drama, no accusations. Just the simple withdrawal of financial oxygen they've come to breathe without acknowledgement. After sending the email, I turned to my personal checks. The contractor for the sunroom addition, $45,000 that Amanda insisted they needed for proper entertaining, expects the second installment of my loan next week. I draft a brief, polite letter. Dear Mr. Simmons, I regret to inform you that I will not be providing the additional funding for the Marks family renovation, as previously discussed. Any financial arrangements going forward will need to be made directly with Mr. and Mrs. Marks. Sincerely, Helen Marks. Similar letters for the landscaper, the interior decorator, the summer camp deposits for next year. One by one, I sever the financial connections that have defined my relationship with Eric and Amanda for too long. The grandfather clock in my hallway, another of Robert's treasures, chimes 11. Still no calls or texts. They haven't missed me yet, or if they have, they haven't bothered to check on me. The realization should hurt, but instead it reinforces my resolve. I am not angry as I work. Anger would suggest I expected better. No, what I feel is a profound clarity, like cleaning glasses I didn't realize were smudged. For years I've told myself that my invisibility was a choice, that I preferred to support quietly from the background. Tonight showed me the truth. I wasn't choosing invisibility. It was imposed upon me. There's a world of difference between modestly declining recognition and being shoved aside at the kids' table, As I finish my letters, a text finally arrives. Eric. Did you leave? Mom? 2 words. No apology, no acknowledgement of how I was treated. Just surprise that his financial safety net might have feelings. I don't respond. Another text follows 10 minutes later. Everything okay? Let me know you got home safe. A perfunctory check-in, probably prompted by Amanda wondering if I was making a scene by leaving early. Again, I let it go unanswered. For tonight, at least, I owe them nothing. Not even the reassurance that I'm home safe, dignifying their belated concern. The kitchen feels different as I prepare for bed, making my usual cup of chamomile tea, checking that the doors are locked, adjusting the thermostat to the economical 65 degrees I've maintained through decades of careful budgeting. The house is the same, but I am changed. Tomorrow, the first ripples of my decision will reach the shore of their carefully curated lives. Contracts will stall, payments will bounce, questions will arise. And for the first time in 30 years, I won't be rushing in to fix everything. As I climb into bed, I think not of Eric or Amanda, or even the indignity of the kids' table. Instead, I remember Robert's favorite saying, one I'd forgotten until tonight. Your worth isn't measured by what you give, Helly, but by whether they'd love you the same if you had nothing to give at all. Tonight, I finally learned the answer to that unasked question. Tomorrow, they'll learn something too. Morning arrives with pale October sunlight filtering through my bedroom curtains. The same curtains I've had for 15 years, mended twice, but still perfectly serviceable. I've slept surprisingly well, with the dreamless rest of someone who has finally set down a heavy burden. I follow my usual routine. Shower, dress in comfortable slacks and a cardigan, make a simple breakfast of toast and coffee. The morning paper waits on my doorstep, as it has every day since 1978. Small rituals that have anchored me through widowhood, empty nesthood, retirement. By 8 o'clock, my inbox shows a response from Dean Porter. Helen, I've processed your request to cancel the scheduled transfers. All pending payments have been halted as instructed. The separate education funds for your granddaughters will remain untouched until further direction. If you'd like to discuss these changes in more detail, I'm available at your convenience. Regards, Dean. Efficient, discreet, professional. Exactly why I've trusted Dean with my finances for decades. No prying questions, no attempts to change my mind. Just respect for my decisions, a courtesy my own family hasn't shown me in years. I'm addressing my contractor letters when the doorbell rings. Outside stands Marjorie Tate, my next-door neighbor for 30 years, and the closest thing to a sister I've ever had. She's holding a bakery box and wearing an expression of determined cheer that doesn't quite reach her eyes. I brought cinnamon rolls, she announces, brushing past me into the kitchen. The good ones from Granger's, not those supermarket things. What's the occasion? I ask, though I suspect I already know. Marjorie sets down the box and turns to me, hands on hips. Eric called me at 7 this morning. Wanted to know if I'd checked on you, since you left the dinner early and weren't answering his texts. And what did you tell him? That I'm not his mother's keeper, and if he was concerned, he should drive the 15 minutes to see you himself. She sniffs disapprovingly while pulling plates from my cabinet. So, how bad was it? I tell her about the kids' table, Amanda's comments about my clothes, Eric's silence, about the toast that acknowledged everyone except me, about leaving unnoticed, my gift still sitting on the table. Marjorie, never one to hide her emotions, grows increasingly indignant as I speak. By the time I finish, she's pacing my kitchen, the cinnamon rolls, forgotten. The kids' table? At 68 years old? After everything you've done for them. She shakes her head fiercely. Helen, tell me you're finally going to do something about this. I already have. The calm in my voice surprises even me as I explain the emails to Dean, the letters to contractors, the cancelled transfers. Marjorie stops pacing. A slow, satisfied smile spreads across her face. Well, it's about time. She sits across from me, reaching for my hand. I'm proud of you, Helen. But you know they're going to fight back once they realize what's happening. Probably, I acknowledge, but I'm done being their silent ATM. We're halfway through our cinnamon rolls when my phone begins to ring. Eric's name flashes on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. You're not going to answer? Marjorie asks. Not yet. I need this morning for myself. She nods approvingly. Good. Make him sweat a little. The phone rings again, almost immediately. Amanda this time, then Eric again, then Amanda. A barrage of texts follows. Mom, call me ASAP, very important. Helen, we need to talk about the tuition payment. Call Eric. Mom, why aren't you answering? Is your phone working? Please call us. There's been some kind of mix-up with the contractors. Marjorie reads the messages over my shoulder, her expression growing increasingly amused. Mix-up? Is that what they're calling it? They haven't realized yet, I say. They think it's a misunderstanding, not a decision, because they can't imagine you having agency of your own. Marjorie has always seen through people with uncomfortable clarity. To them, you're just the wallet in the background, not a person who might notice being seated with toddlers instead of adults. The accuracy of her assessment stings, but it's a cleansing pain, like antiseptic on a wound too long ignored. After Marjorie leaves, promising to return for dinner, I spend the morning in my small garden, preparing it for winter. There's something soothing about the physical labor, the certainty of the seasons. Plants never pretend. They either thrive or they don't. They don't take what you give them while treating you as an embarrassment. By noon, my voicemail is full. I listen to the messages while eating a simple lunch of soup and crackers. Eric, 8:17 a.m. Mom, can you call me back? Just checking you got home okay last night. Amanda, 8:43 a.m. Helen, I need to speak with you about Chloe's tuition payment. The school called saying it hasn't been received. Call me back. Eric, 9:12 a.m. Mom, is everything okay? Maple Hills Academy is saying the tuition payment is late. Is there a problem with your account or something? Amanda, 9:37 a.m. Helen, this is really inconsiderate. We're getting calls from the contractor, too. I don't know what's going on with your finances, but we're relying on that payment. Call us back immediately. Eric, 10:15 a.m. Mom, I'm getting worried. Please call me as soon as you get this. We really need to sort out these payment issues. Amanda, 10:52. This is unacceptable, Helen. We have people waiting on these payments. If you're having money problems, you should have told us instead of just not paying. Eric is really upset. The progression is telling, from casual concern to confusion to entitlement to blame. Not once do they express worry for my well-being beyond the perfunctory, got home okay. Not once do they acknowledge how I was treated last night. Their only concern is for the suddenly missing money. At 1 o'clock, my doorbell rings again. I'm not surprised to see Eric standing on my porch, his usually careful appearance slightly disheveled, his expression a mixture of confusion and annoyance. Mom, he says as I open the door. Why aren't you answering your phone? We've been calling all morning. I've been busy in the garden, I reply, not inviting him in yet. Beautiful day for it. He stares at me incredulously. The garden. Mom, We've got serious problems. The school called about Chloe's tuition, and the contractor says you canceled the next payment for the sunroom. What's going on?" Still standing in my doorway, I look at my son, truly look at him for perhaps the first time in years. The boy I raised alone is now a middle-aged man with gray in temples and worry lines. When did he transform from the child who made me handprint cards on Mother's Day to the adult who sat silently while I was banished to the kids' table? "I've decided to reorganize my finances," I say simply. "Reorganize?" He looks baffled. "What does that mean?" "The tuition payment was scheduled. We were counting on it." "I'm no longer paying for Chloe's private school," I tell him, my voice calm but firm. "Or the sunroom addition, or any of the other expenses I've been quietly covering for years." Eric's face goes through a rapid series of emotions: confusion, disbelief, then dawning alarm. "You can't do that," he says, the entitlement in his voice both familiar and newly jarring. "We have contracts, commitments. Chloe can't just leave Maple Hills mid-semester." "I'm not responsible for contracts you and Amanda signed," I remind him. "And Chloe can certainly attend the excellent public schools in your district, the same public schools you attended." "Mom, this is crazy. Is this because of last night? Because you left dinner early?" And there it is, the first acknowledgement, however oblique, of the previous evening's events. Not an apology, not even a recognition of what actually happened. Just an impatient dismissal of my feelings as disproportionate, unreasonable. "Last night was illuminating," I say carefully. "It showed me very clearly where I stand in your family's priorities." "At the kids' table?" he mumbles, having the grace to look slightly ashamed. "Look, that wasn't my idea. Amanda thought it would be easier for everyone." "Easier to pretend I don't exist? Easier to mock my clothes? Easier to exclude me from your toast?" The questions come out steadier than I feel. "Eric, when was the last time you stood up for me? When was the last time you acknowledged everything I've sacrificed to give you the life you have?" He has no answer, just looks at me with the expression of someone who has never had to consider these questions before. "I need those payments reinstated," he says finally, reverting to his immediate concerns. "Amanda's freaking out. The contractor is threatening to put a lien on the house and Chloe's school." "No," I interrupt, the single syllable stronger than any shouting could be. "No more payments, no more silent support, no more pretending that financial dependence is the same as love." "So what, this is blackmail? You'll pay for everything if I... what? Force Amanda to be nicer to you?" The question reveals so much about how little he understands. "This isn't blackmail, Eric. It's boundaries. I'm not withholding funds until you behave differently. I'm simply no longer providing them, period. What you and Amanda do now is entirely your choice. But I've subsidized your lifestyle for decades without thanks or acknowledgement. I've watched you and Amanda live beyond your means while taking my contributions for granted. That ends today." Eric's phone rings, Amanda's ringtone. He answers automatically, turning slightly away from me. "Yes, I'm here now. No, it's not good. I don't know, some kind of protest about last night. No, I'm trying." I close my front door quietly but firmly, leaving my son on the porch to explain to his wife that their financial safety net has disappeared. Through the window, I watch his gestures become increasingly agitated as the conversation continues. When he turns back to knock again, I don't answer. Some conversations are over once you've said what needed to be said for 30 years. Through my living room window, I watch Eric pace my front lawn, his phone pressed to his ear. His free hand gestures animatedly as he continues his conversation with Amanda. Twice he looks back at my door, as if considering another attempt to knock, but something in his expression suggests he knows it would be futile. Finally, he gets into his car, the luxury sedan I helped him finance 3 years ago, with a loan we both knew would never be repaid, and drives away, still talking on his phone. Not once during his visit did he ask why I left the restaurant last night. Not once did he acknowledge how it felt to be seated at the kids' table. His only concern was for the money that has suddenly stopped flowing. I move away from the window and settle in my favorite armchair, the one Robert and I bought when we were first married. The upholstery is worn in places, but I've never seen the point in replacing something that still serves its purpose perfectly well. Unlike my son and his wife, I understand the difference between needs and wants. My phone, which I've placed on the side table, begins to ring again almost immediately. Amanda's name flashes on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, as I have all morning. The house phone starts ringing next, a number I keep mainly for emergencies and the few older friends who don't use mobile phones. The caller ID shows Mark's Eric. I let that ring unanswered too. This pattern continues through the afternoon. Calls from Eric, from Amanda, even from numbers I don't recognize but suspect belong to the school or contractors. Each time I let them ring through to voicemail. Each time I feel a curious mixture of sadness and liberation. For decades, I've been available whenever they called, rushing to solve whatever crisis they faced. Today, I choose differently. Around 3 o'clock, a text arrives from my granddaughter, Mia. "Grandma, are you okay? Mom and Dad are freaking out about something and keep saying your name. Did something happen?" Sweet, observant Mia, always noticing what others miss. I respond to her, though I've ignored everyone else. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just taking some time for myself today. How was your sleepover at Emma's?" Her reply comes quickly. "It was fun. We made friendship bracelets. I made one for you too." This small kindness, so genuine, so different from the transactional nature of my relationship with her parents, brings unexpected tears to my eyes. "I'd love to have it. Maybe you can visit soon." "I'd like that," she writes back. Then, "Mom's calling me. Gotta go. Love you, Grandma." "Love you too," I reply, wondering how much of the current situation Mia understands. At 12, she notices far more than her parents give her credit for. By late afternoon, my voicemail is full again. I force myself to listen, needing to understand the full scope of their reaction. Amanda, 1:22 a.m. "Helen, this is completely unacceptable. Eric told me what you said. We have financial obligations that relied on your commitments. You can't just change your mind because you're feeling slighted over some imagined insult at dinner. Call me back immediately. Eric, 1:45 p.m. Mom, please be reasonable. I understand you were upset about the seating last night, but this is an extreme overreaction. We need to talk this through like adults." Unknown number, 2:03 p.m. "Mrs. Marks, this is Headmaster Phillips from Maple Hills Academy. I'm calling regarding Chloe's tuition payment for the winter semester, which appears to be overdue. Please contact our finance office at your earliest convenience." Amanda, 2:37 p.m. "The contractor is threatening to put a lien on our house, Helen." "A lion. Is that what you want? To destroy our credit and stability over a perceived slight? This isn't like you. Call me back so we can fix this." Eric, 3:15 p.m. "Mom, Amanda's really upset. The landscapers just called saying you canceled the payment for the backyard redesign too. We've already ordered all the materials. Please call me back." We can work this out. Amanda, 3:42 p.m. This is vindictive and cruel, Helen. We've always treated you with respect, included you in family events, and this is how you repay us? By trying to ruin us financially? Call me back. Now. Each message reveals more about how they truly see me. As a financial resource first. A person second, if at all. Their concern is entirely for the money, for their contracts, for their social embarrassment. Not once do they genuinely ask if I'm okay or acknowledge that their treatment might have hurt me. A perceived slight. An imagined insult. As if being relegated to the children's table at my son's 40th birthday dinner, a dinner I partially funded, was a minor misunderstanding rather than a deliberate humiliation. The landline rings again at 4 o'clock. This time, the caller ID displays Maple Hills Academy. I let it ring. At 4:30, the doorbell chimes. Through the peephole, I see Chloe, my 15-year-old granddaughter dressed in her private school uniform, her expression a mixture of annoyance and confusion. I open the door. "Mom and Dad sent me," she announces without preamble. "They said to check if you're okay since you're not answering your phone." "I'm perfectly fine," I tell her, stepping back to let her in. "Would you like some tea?" Chloe follows me to the kitchen, looking around my modest home with the barely concealed disdain she's learned from Amanda. At 15, she's already mastered her mother's evaluating gaze, the one that assigns worth based on brand names and square footage. "Mom says you're canceling my tuition payments," she says as I put the kettle on. "She says I might have to leave Maple Hills and go to public school." "That can't happen, Grandma. All my friends are there. The public school is full of..." She pauses, clearly editing what she was about to say. "It just wouldn't work for me." I set 2 mugs on the table and look at my granddaughter. Really look at her. When did she transform from the little girl who loved to help me bake cookies into this poised, slightly cold young woman who measures her worth by her school's exclusivity? Maple Hills is an excellent school, I acknowledge, but Indian Hill Public is also highly rated. Your father received an excellent education there. "That was different," she insists. "Colleges now look at what school you attended. Becca Miller didn't get into Yale because she went to public school." "Becca Miller didn't get into Yale because she didn't apply herself, according to what you told me last year." I remind her gently. "School is what you make of it, Chloe." She looks away, unwilling to concede the point. "Why are you doing this? Mom says it's because you're bitter about something that happened at Dad's birthday dinner. Is that what she told you?" I keep my voice neutral, curious about how they framed the situation to the girls. "She said you got upset because you weren't at the main table, but that was just because there wasn't room. And now you're punishing everyone by withdrawing financial support." Chloe's words come straight from Amanda, probably rehearsed in the car on the way over. "There was room," I say quietly. "I was seated at the children's table because your mother didn't want me in the photographs with their friends." I heard her say so. Chloe looks momentarily uncertain, then rallies. "Well, that's between you and Mom. It's not fair to punish me by taking away my school." "I'm not punishing you, Chloe. I'm simply no longer subsidizing a lifestyle your parents can't afford on their own." I pour the hot water into our mugs, adding tea bags. The choices they make now about schools, renovations, vacations, are theirs to make based on their actual income, not on my contributions. "But that's not fair," she repeats, the teenage refrain that solves nothing. "Neither is being treated as an ATM rather than a family member," I reply. Neither is being mocked for my clothes or hidden away from important celebrations. Chloe falls silent, stirring her tea though she hasn't added any sugar. After a moment, she pulls out her phone and begins texting rapidly, reporting back to her parents, no doubt. "They want me to ask if you'll at least cover the rest of this school year," she says without looking up from her phone, "so I don't have to switch mid-year." The nakedness of the request, using Chloe as a negotiating tool, reveals how little they've understood. This isn't a bargaining situation. This isn't a temporary withholding of funds until they apologize or treat me better. This is a fundamental restructuring of our relationship. "I've made my decision," I tell her. "I'm sorry if that impacts your schooling, but that's a conversation for you to have with your parents, not with me." Chloe looks up from her phone, her expression hardening into something so like Amanda's that it breaks my heart a little. "Fine, I'll tell them." She stands, leaving her untouched tea on the table. "Can I go now?" I have homework. Of course. I walk her to the door, feeling the distance between us expand with each step. At the threshold, I say, "Chloe, I want you to know that none of this changes how much I love you." She pauses, her back to me. For a moment, I think she might turn around, might acknowledge the person behind the checkbook. Instead, she says without looking back, "Mia made you a bracelet. She wanted me to give it to you." From her pocket, she withdraws a simple braided band of embroidery thread, blue and purple, my favorite colors. She holds it out without meeting my eyes. "Thank you," I say, accepting this small token that means more than all the polite, obligatory birthday and Christmas gifts Chloe has given me over the years. "Tell Mia I'll wear it." After she leaves, I stand in my doorway watching her walk to the car where Amanda waits, engine running. I catch a glimpse of Amanda's face, tight with anger, before they drive away. I slip Mia's bracelet onto my wrist, its handmade simplicity a stark contrast to the expensive, impersonal scarf Amanda gave me last Christmas, and later borrowed back, never to return. Back in my kitchen, I pour myself a fresh cup of tea and call Marjorie. "How's World War III going over there?" she asks by way of greeting. "Escalating," I reply. "Eric came by this morning. Amanda's been calling non-stop, and they just sent Chloe to negotiate for her tuition." "They sent their child to do their dirty work." Marjorie's indignation carries clearly through the phone. "That's low, even for them." "They're desperate," I say, surprised by my own calm. The financial house of cards is collapsing, and they don't know how to stand on their own. "Well, they're about to learn." Marjorie's voice softens. "How are you holding up?" "Better than I expected," I admit, though seeing Chloe look at me with Amanda's eyes was difficult. "The girls are young," Marjorie reminds me. "They can still learn what really matters, especially if they see you modeling it." After we hang up, I sit in the growing dusk of my kitchen, thinking about legacy. What lessons have I really taught my son and granddaughters through years of silent financial support? That love means never having to acknowledge what's been given, that wealth matters more than respect. Perhaps this painful rupture is actually my final and most important gift to them. The lesson that relationships must be built on more than transactions, that true family sees each other as people, not resources or inconveniences. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "Grandma, it's Mia." I'm using Emma's phone. "Are you really okay? Mom came home really mad. Do you like the bracelet?" In this simple message lies all the hope I have for the future. Mia's genuine concern, her ability to see beyond herself, her small act of secretive love in borrowing a friend's phone to check on me. I love the bracelet, I text back. I'm wearing it right now. And yes, I'm really okay. Sometimes grown-ups disagree, but that doesn't change how much I love you. I love you too, she replies. Mom says I can't visit right now, but maybe later. Anytime, I promise. My door is always open for you. As night falls completely, I move through my quiet house, turning on lamps, finding comfort in familiar surroundings. The phones have finally stopped ringing. Tomorrow will bring new attempts, new negotiations, perhaps even new threats. But tonight, I am at peace with my decision. Some prices are too high to pay, even for family. Dignity is one of them. 3 days pass, 3 days of unanswered calls, increasingly desperate voicemails, and text messages ranging from pleading to angry to accusatory. I maintain my silence, not out of spite, but from the certainty that nothing meaningful can be said until Eric and Amanda truly understand what has happened. Not just financially, but emotionally. On the 4th day, Dean Porter calls. Helen, I thought you should know that Eric has been trying to contact me directly, he says, his professional tone colored with concern. He seems to believe there's been some misunderstanding about your finances. What did you tell him? I ask, though I trust Dean implicitly. Only that I follow my client's instructions, and that any questions about your financial decisions should be directed to you. He pauses. He was quite insistent that you couldn't possibly have intended to cancel all those payments. He suggested you might be confused. The implication isn't subtle. If Eric can't pressure me directly, he'll try to invalidate my decision by questioning my competence. Thank you for letting me know, I say. And thank you for respecting my wishes. Of course, that's my job. Another pause. Helen, forgive me if this is overstepping, but are you sure about this course of action? Families are complicated. Sometimes these situations can escalate beyond what we initially intended. I'm sure, I tell him with a certainty that surprises even me. This isn't an impulsive decision, Dean. It's been 30 years in the making. After we hang up, I take a walk through my neighborhood, the modest streets where I've lived my entire adult life. Mrs. Abernathy waves from her porch. Mr. Liu stops pruning his rose bushes to chat about the weather. Simple interactions with neighbors who see me, not as a financial resource, but as a person worthy of basic courtesy. When I return home, there's a text from Mia. Dad says we're having a family meeting at Perkins Cafe tomorrow at 3. He says you need to come. Are you? Perkins. A public place, not Eric and Amanda's home. A neutral location where I'm less likely to cause a scene, perhaps. The calculation is obvious but not unwelcome. After days of one-sided communication, I'm ready for this conversation. I'll be there, I reply. The next afternoon, I dress with particular care, not in an attempt to impress Amanda, but to armor myself with the confidence of looking my best. I choose a blue blouse that brings out my eyes, pair it with well-fitting slacks, and add the pearl earrings Robert gave me on our 20th anniversary. Around my wrist, Mia's friendship bracelet adds a touch of color. Marjorie drops by as I'm preparing to leave. So they've finally requested an audience, she says, her tone making clear what she thinks of Eric and Amanda's approach. Are you ready for this? As ready as I'll ever be. She squeezes my hand. Remember what we talked about. This isn't about the money. It never was. This is about respect. I know. I squeeze back. Thank you, Marjorie, for everything. Call me after, she instructs, no matter how it goes. Perkins Cafe is busy with the late afternoon crowd when I arrive, precisely at 3 o'clock. I spot them immediately in a corner booth, Eric, Amanda, and to my surprise, both girls. Chloe looks bored and resentful, thumb hovering over her silenced phone. Mia brightens when she sees me, offering a small wave that Amanda quickly stills with a hand on her arm. I make my way to their table, noting how Eric and Amanda have positioned themselves on one side of the booth, presenting a united front. The girls sit on the other side, leaving the end chair for me, not quite part of the family circle. "Hello," I say simply, taking my seat. "Thank you for arranging this." Eric looks tired, the kind of bone-deep exhaustion that comes from days of stress. Amanda's perfect appearance is slightly frayed at the edges. A chipped manicure, a missed spot of concealer under her eyes. They've been struggling without my financial safety net, and it shows. "Mom," Eric begins, his tone carefully modulated. "We wanted to talk face-to-face about what's been happening." "I'm listening," I say. Amanda jumps in, unable to maintain Eric's diplomatic approach. "What's happening is that you're punishing this entire family because you got your feelings hurt at a dinner. It's childish and vindictive." "Amanda," Eric warns quietly. "No, it needs to be said," she insists. "Helen, you've thrown our entire life into chaos. The contractor is threatening legal action. Chloe's school is talking about dismissal for non-payment. Our home equity line was denied because of the lien warning. All because you weren't happy with the seating arrangement at a restaurant." She frames it so dismissively, as if my hurt was trivial, disproportionate. In her world, perhaps it is. In her world, appearances matter more than feelings, status more than respect. "It wasn't about the seating arrangement," I say calmly. "It was about what the seating arrangement represented." "Which is what exactly?" Amanda demands. "That I'm not really family. That I'm an embarrassment to be hidden away. Not a person to be respected." I look directly at Eric. "That after 30 years of support, emotional, practical, and yes, financial, I'm still not worth a place at your table." Eric has the grace to look uncomfortable. "Mom, that's not fair. You know we appreciate everything you've done." "Do I?" I interrupt gently. "How would I know that? Eric, when was the last time you acknowledged my contributions? When was the last time you stood up for me when Amanda decided I wasn't presentable enough for her friends?" Amanda bristles. "This is exactly why we kept certain events separate. You always make everything about you." "No," I correct her. "I've spent decades making everything about you. About Eric. About the girls. I've lived modestly so you could live extravagantly. I've sacrificed so you wouldn't have to. And in return, I received mockery, exclusion, and the children's table." Chloe shifts uncomfortably beside her sister. Mia watches with wide, observant eyes, missing nothing. "So this is... what? Revenge?" Eric asks. "This is consequence," I reply. "This is me finally acknowledging that a relationship can't be healthy when one side gives everything and the other takes everything without gratitude or respect." "What do you want?" Amanda asks bluntly. "An apology." "Fine. I'm sorry you were offended by the seating arrangement. Now will you reinstate the payments?" Her words reveal so clearly that she still doesn't understand. This isn't a negotiation. This isn't a temporary withholding of funds until they perform the correct level of contrition. "I don't want anything," I tell them both. "That's what you don't understand. I'm not doing this to get something from you. I'm doing it because I finally recognized my own worth, and it's more than being your ATM or Chloe's tuition payment or the embarrassing mother hidden away at family functions." "So that's it?" Eric's voice rises slightly. "After everything, you're just cutting us off? Your own family?" The question hangs in the air between us, heavy with implication. In his mind, family obligates me to financial support, regardless of how I'm treated. In his mind, my love must be expressed through checkbooks and wire transfers. I'm not cutting off my family, I say quietly. I'm cutting off the financial dependence that has corrupted our relationship. There's a difference. Mia suddenly speaks up, her young voice clear in the tense silence. I think Grandma's right. All heads turn toward her in surprise. Mia! Amanda hisses, but my youngest granddaughter continues, her eyes meeting mine across the table. You were mean to her. You made her sit with little kids. I saw it when I came to say goodbye before going to Emma's. Grandma was at the baby's table and you were laughing about it. In the face of this simple truth, spoken with a child's clarity, neither Eric nor Amanda seems to have a response. In the face of this simple truth, spoken with a child's clarity, neither Eric nor Amanda seems to have a response. The silence stretches across the table, punctuated only by the ambient noise of the cafe, other families chattering, silverware clinking against plates, the soft hum of normalcy that suddenly feels so distant from our corner booth. Mia's declaration hangs in the air, impossible to dismiss. I reach across the table and gently touch her hand, a silent acknowledgement of her courage. That's enough, Mia, Amanda finally says, her voice tight. She turns to me, composure fracturing at the edges. See what you've done? You're turning our children against us now. She hasn't turned me against anyone, Mia protests. I just told what I saw. Eric rubs his forehead, looking suddenly older than his 40 years. This isn't getting us anywhere. He takes a deep breath, and I see a flash of the thoughtful boy I raised, before his face hardens with the practical concerns that have become his primary motivation. Mom, we need to talk about practical solutions. The contractor has given us until Friday to resolve the payment issue, or they're filing a lien. Chloe's school needs an answer by Monday. I fold my hands on the table, steadying myself. Those aren't my problems to solve anymore, Eric. But they exist because of your decision, he argues. No, I correct him gently. They exist because you and Amanda made financial commitments based on my money rather than your own means. You built a lifestyle on the assumption that I would always be there to subsidize it, without ever considering what that cost me. Not just financially, but emotionally. We never asked you for anything, Amanda interjects. You offered... Did I? I look at her directly. Or did you mention financial struggles, knowing I would step in? Did you talk about Chloe's education, or the girls' college funds, knowing I would want to help? There are many ways of asking without ever saying the words. Chloe, who has been silently watching this exchange, suddenly puts down her phone. Is that why you're always buying us stuff, Grandma? So we'll like you? The question strikes like a physical blow, so perfectly aligned with Amanda's worldview that I can hear exactly where it originated. In her mind, my generosity could only ever be transactional. No, Chloe, I say softly. I helped because I love you, and because I could. I never expected gratitude, but I did expect basic respect, not to be hidden away or mocked. That was one dinner, Amanda dismisses. You're being dramatic. It wasn't just one dinner, Mia pipes up again, her small face serious. It's all the time. Remember when Grandma came to my ballet recital, and you made her sit in the back row while we saved the front seats for your friends? Or when we took family pictures last Christmas, and you told the photographer not to include Grandma in the main portraits? Amanda's face flushes. Amelia Grace, that is enough. But Mia, perhaps emboldened by my example, doesn't back down. It's true, though, and Dad never says anything. He just lets it happen. Eric looks stricken, caught between his wife's anger and his daughter's honesty. I wonder if he's truly seeing for the first time the pattern of behavior that has defined our family dynamic for years. This isn't about who sat where at a dinner, I say quietly. It's about a pattern of disrespect that's been allowed to continue for too long. It's about treating me as a resource rather than a person. The server approaches our table, cheerfully oblivious to the tension. Can I get you folks any refills or dessert today? Just the check, please, Eric says, his voice strained. The server nods and retreats, sensing the atmosphere. When we're alone again, Eric leans forward. Mom, I understand you're hurt. I should have said something at the dinner. That was wrong, and I'm sorry. The apology sounds genuine, but it's quickly followed by, but we need to find a way forward. We have real financial obligations that can't just disappear. I understand that, I acknowledge. And you'll find a solution, just as I found solutions when your father died, and I had to support us on a secretary's salary. Sometimes that means making difficult choices and adjustments. So that's it? Amanda asks incredulously. You're really going to let Chloe lose her place at Maple Hills? Let our house go into foreclosure? Destroy everything we've built because of one bad night? Your house isn't going into foreclosure, Amanda, I say calmly. You and Eric earn good salaries. You might need to cancel the sunroom, addition, and the landscaping project. Chloe might need to attend public school. Your lifestyle might need to align with your actual income rather than your aspirations. But you won't be destitute, merely normal. Normal, she repeats, as if it's a dirty word. Yes, I confirm. Like most families who live within their means, instead of relying on a silent benefactor. The check arrives. Eric reaches for it automatically, then hesitates, seemingly unsure if this small act of paying for my coffee has new significance in our reconfigured relationship. I let him take it, watching as he signs the receipt. What about the girls' college funds? He asks, not meeting my eyes. Are those gone too? No, I tell him, glancing at my granddaughters. I've instructed Dean to maintain those separately. The girls will have access to them when they turn 18. That money was always meant for their futures, not for your convenience. Relief flickers across his face, quickly replaced by fresh worry. And everything else? The tuition, the renovation, you'll need to find another way, I say firmly, or accept what you can actually afford. Amanda stands suddenly, gathering her purse. This is ridiculous. Come on, girls. We're leaving. She looks down at me, her perfect mask cracking to reveal the fury beneath. I always knew you were selfish underneath that martyr act. Turns out I was right. Chloe slides out of the booth, following her mother with a backward glance that contains more confusion than contempt. Mia hesitates. Can I still visit you, Grandma? She asks quietly. Of course you can, sweetheart, I assure her. My door is always open to you. Always. Amanda makes an impatient sound. Mia, now. My younger granddaughter squeezes my hand quickly before following her mother. Eric remains seated, looking lost, caught between the family he created and the mother who raised him. I don't know how to fix this, he admits after they're gone. It's not about fixing, I tell him gently. It's about rebuilding, on a foundation of mutual respect rather than financial dependency. He nods slowly, processing this. I really am sorry, Mom. About the dinner. About all of it. I know, I say. And I do. Eric has always been caught in the middle, too weak to stand against Amanda's attitudes, too dependent on my support to risk losing it. But being sorry isn't enough anymore. You need to decide what kind of relationship we're going to have going forward. One based on genuine care, or none at all. Those can't be the only options, he protests. They are, I say firmly, because I won't go back to being the invisible ATM. I won't sit at any more kids' tables or be cropped out of any more family photos. Not for any amount of familial peace. He looks at me with new eyes, perhaps seeing for the first time in decades, not just his supportive mother, but a woman with her own dignity and boundaries. I need time, he says finally, to figure things out. With Amanda, with the finances, with everything. Take all the time you need, I tell him, rising from my seat. I've waited 30 years. I can wait a little longer. Outside Perkins, the October afternoon is slipping toward evening, the sky painted in shades of amber and gold. I walk to my car feeling lighter than I have in years, despite the pain of confrontation. There are no guarantees that Eric will choose a relationship with me over the path of least resistance with Amanda. No guarantees that Chloe will ever see me as more than a financial resource. But for the first time in decades, I've honored my own worth. And that feels like victory enough. 2 months pass. The holidays approach with their complicated emotional terrain. Thanksgiving comes and goes without an invitation to Eric's table. I spend it instead with Marjorie and her family, who welcome me with genuine warmth that requires no financial contribution to earn. December brings snow to Cincinnati, transforming my modest neighborhood into a winter postcard. I decorate my small tree with the ornaments Robert and I collected over the years, including the childish crafts Eric made in elementary school. The house feels peaceful, rather than empty. My phone rings less frequently now. The desperate calls from Eric and Amanda tapered off once they realized I wouldn't be changing my mind. From Marjorie, who keeps tabs on neighborhood gossip, I hear that they've canceled the sunroom edition and pulled Chloe from Maple Hills at the semester break. The European vacation planned for spring has been quietly abandoned. On a Wednesday afternoon 2 weeks before Christmas, my doorbell rings. When I open it, Mia stands on my porch, bundled against the cold, a small gift bag in her mittened hands. "Hi, Grandma," she says shyly. "Dad dropped me off. He said I could visit for an hour if that's okay." "It's more than okay," I tell her, ushering her inside. "It's wonderful." We settle in the kitchen with hot chocolate and the Christmas cookies I baked yesterday just in case. Mia tells me about her new school, the public middle school she and Chloe now attend, and about the holiday concert where she'll have a small violin solo. "Will you come?" she asks hesitantly. "Dad said I could invite you." "I wouldn't miss it," I promise, touched by this small olive branch. As she sips her cocoa, Mia pushes the gift bag toward me. "I made you something. For Christmas. I wanted to give it to you early." Inside is a small photo album, handcrafted with decorated paper and carefully lettered. Grandma and me. The pages contain pictures of the two of us throughout the years. At the zoo, when she was little, baking cookies in my kitchen, at her elementary school graduation last year. Small moments I'd thought no one had documented or valued. "Your dad helped me find the pictures," she explains, "and he got them printed. But the album was my idea." I run my fingers over the pages, emotion welling up. "It's beautiful, Mia. The most precious gift I've ever received." "Dad feels bad," she confides, picking at a cookie. "He and Mom fight a lot now, about money and stuff, but he stands up more. He told Mom she can't talk about you that way anymore. And he's making Chloe be nicer too. Small changes, perhaps, but significant ones. Change isn't easy, I tell her, for any of us. We're not going to Europe for spring break, she continues. Dad says we need to be more restrained, I suggest. Yeah, that, with money. She looks up at me. That's because of you, isn't it? Because you stopped giving them money. Partly, I acknowledge, not wanting to lie to her. But mostly, it's because they're learning to live with what they actually have, rather than what they wish they had. She considers this with the seriousness that has always characterized her. I think it's better this way. Mom's mad a lot, but Dad seems, I don't know, more like a real person. More authentic, I suggest, understanding exactly what she means. Yeah, that. She finishes her cookie. Chloe hates public school, but I kind of like it. There are more different kinds of people, and the teachers are nice. We chat until Eric's car pulls up outside. Mia hugs me tightly before leaving, promising to text the details about her concert. Eric waits in the driveway, offering a tentative wave that I return from the doorway. It's not reconciliation, not yet, but it's acknowledgement. A small crack in the wall of entitlement and resentment that has separated us these past months. Whether that crack will widen into a doorway or be sealed over again remains to be seen. That night, I add Mia's photo album to my bedside table. The last page has a recent picture, one I don't remember being taken. It shows me at my garden, captured in profile as I tend to my autumn flowers, unaware of the camera. Beneath it, in Mia's careful handwriting, Grandma Helen, the strongest person I know. I touch the words gently, thinking of the strange path that led here. From the humiliation of the kids' table to this moment of quiet validation. I didn't withdraw my financial support to teach them a lesson. I did it to reclaim my dignity. But perhaps in doing so, I taught my granddaughter something valuable after all. That true worth isn't measured in dollars or social status, but in the courage to stand firm in your own value, even when those you love try to diminish it. Outside my window, snow continues to fall, covering Cincinnati in a clean white blanket that hides all the complicated terrain beneath. Spring will come eventually, revealing what has survived the winter, what has died, and what has perhaps grown stronger through the dormant season. I don't know yet whether my relationship with Eric will be among the casualties or the hardy perennials. I don't know if Amanda will ever see me as more than an inconvenient mother-in-law, or if Chloe will outgrow her mother's shallow values. What I do know is this: I will never again accept a seat at the kids' table of my own life. I will never again allow my generosity to become a substitute for genuine respect. And whatever shape my family takes going forward, whether expanded or diminished, it will be built on the honest foundation of who we truly are to each other, not what we can provide. Sometimes the strongest love isn't the kind that gives everything. Sometimes it's the kind that finally, after decades of sacrifice, learns to say, enough. I matter too. As I turn out my light and settle into bed, I realize I'm still wearing Mia's friendship bracelet, the blue and purple thread slightly frayed now, but holding strong. Like me,